Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, the Silver and Black made 2 roster moves. I'll tell you what they are, and then some big NFL news. If you want to know how the Raiders voted in terms of the Tush push, I'm going to tell you on today's episode. The first roster move that the Raiders ended up making today is, unfortunately for Wesley Steiner, they are moving on from him. They waived him. He was really only a part of this team, I'm going to say, for like a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. They signed him right after the NFL draft. That day when there was like 6 roster moves made by the Raiders, that's when Steiner was brought on. Linebacker, special teams guy. They made room for Steiner, moving on from him, and they went out and they signed linebacker Michael Barrett. If you've heard of this name before, he's probably a little bit better known from his time at the University of Michigan where he was able to win a national championship. Practice squad, he played for the Panthers, the Seahawks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers last year. Didn't record any stats, or if he did, it would have been on special teams, and that's kind of where he got most of his run. If you're looking for Raiders news and updates all offseason long, make sure you click that subscribe button. I already talked about the Raiders signing Barrett on my social media. I already put it out as a YouTube short a few hours ago, but this is why you subscribe. And literally at the time that I'm making this video right now, I just saw a video on Twitter of Christian Wilkins at Raiders OTAs. He's stretching. Looks pretty freaking good, if I'm being honest. No helmet. Doesn't look like he's going to be participating. He didn't participate on Monday. Also, it looks like that Colton Miller is also at Raiders OTAs. He is still looking for a contract extension, but it's good to see that one of our leaders and team captains is out there despite looking for that extension. Coming up next here on the show, I'm going to get into why the Las Vegas Raiders went out and they signed Michael Barrett. Before I break that down, a word from our sponsor. Raider Nation, huge shout out to Temu for hooking up the nation with this special promotion. They are offering their 2nd anniversary promotion campaign, and for anyone who still hasn't downloaded the Temu app, you have the opportunity to get $100 cash. All you have to do is go download the Temu app and search your code DWF3344 in the app. You will see the Win Cash promotion page. Discount only applies to app new users with the qualifying orders. This promotion is open to anyone who hasn't downloaded the Temu app. If that's you, sprint to the App Store and take advantage of this special promotion. Now, a lot of the things that you're seeing up on screen are some of the things that I've gotten for myself and, a bed for Alex and my dog Chuck. So go download the Temu app, search your code DWF3344 in the Temu app. That's code DWF3344 in the Temu app. You will see the Win Cash promotion page when you use our code. Discount only applies to app new users with qualifying orders. Huge shout out again to Temu for hooking up the nation. For anybody out there, I'm going to be able to put these links down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Before we get into why the Raiders signed Michael Barrett, I do want to mention one more thing here about Wilkins. I did a video yesterday on the Raiders Report in regards to whether or not Wilkins was starting OTAs in a walking boot. I was able to talk to Deshaun Reed, and I put it on social media, and my reporting that I had out yesterday was, in fact, correct, that multiple sources and multiple outlets were, in fact, reporting the wrong things around Christian Wilkins. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go check out the video that I dropped yesterday, and it says Christian Wilkins walking boot rumors. All right, let's get into why the Raiders went out and they signed Michael Barrett. The first reason is this guy is a Michigan man, and we know how important connections and relationships are to this organization. Tom Brady, Michigan man. John Spytek, Michigan man. Hell, they were on the exact same team for the Wolverines many, many years ago. And the fact that Barrett was able to play 6 years at Michigan, that's important because this organization wants to find college football players that know what it is to be a part of a successful program, where in today's day and age, you got guys transferring left and right, NIL deals. The Raiders want guys that keep the main thing. And that's making sure that their team and their overall ability is going to be able to shine. The fact also that Barrett was a 2023 national champion, 2-time third team, all Big Ten. When you account for all of those reasons why I just mentioned, I think that is a little bit of a cherry on top for this organization because, again, they want guys that have a lot of college football experience because what the Raiders are trying to do is build a successful program like you see a lot of these successful programs being built in college football. Now, Barrett has played in 62 games in his college career, and you can look at the numbers up there from a career standpoint. I really wanted to be able to focus on the last 2 seasons where he played at Michigan in those 29 games where he racked up 137 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 INTs, 3 forced fumbles. I know what Barrett is, and Barrett's not going to be somebody that I think it wows a lot of people, but I don't necessarily need Barrett to be a wow type of player. I need him to be able to step up, be ready to go, and be ready to go out there and compete from the jump. And if you don't already know, competition is what matters to this Raiders squad, and it should matter to y'all in the month of May, because he's going to walk into a room and he's going to be able to compete instantly. And he's going to make this entire linebacker room around him a lot better, because you got to be able to look at the facts. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of who's going to step up outside of a Landon Roberts. And depending on how many linebackers this team decides to keep, who knows? Maybe Barrett does have a shot to make this roster. And I say that for the number one reason of he does offer you a little bit of a different skill set in terms of what he's going to be able to bring to the table. He offers you some of this ability to go out and cover. He also offers you some extra ability in terms of just being a reliable player, I would say, on special teams. But he's got a little bit of a different skill set than some of the other linebackers on this Raiders roster. He's also known for being a very hard-working guy. And the fact that he's known for being a very hard-working guy, that's also what this organization is looking for. Because I wanted to be able to show you guys a quote from Zierlein on his breakdown of what he thought Michael Barrett was. This is, again, when he was coming out in the 2024 NFL Draft. This is when he was preparing to get on the field. But the one thing that we've been looking at is we've been looking for a linebacker that can cover, and a linebacker that, might be able to help us out a little bit more in that realm. And I think that that's what Barrett could potentially bring to the table. So here's what Zierlein had to say. 6-year Wolverine who has shown steady improvement over the last 2 or 3 years. Barrett lacks ideal size to take on big blockers and doesn't play proactively enough to stay ahead of blockers. His lateral burst to pursue bounce wide runs is just average, but when he lines up his target, he can be a ferocious striker and wrap-up tackler. Barrett's anticipation and instincts leave too much to be desired, but he might have enough cover talent and special teams ability to fight for a roster spot as a nickel dime linebacker. That last quote right there and that last sentence is very important, because every single person amongst Raider Nation is like, yeah, I get that we got a linebacker, but why is he different than all the other guys? It's because of that special teams ability. It's because of his versatility in the coverage game, and it's because he could potentially play in the nickel, which is what he was able to do. I get it, Big Ten, Michigan, college football, a lot different in the NFL, but I think it's at least a little bit of a different skill set from some of the other linebackers that we have. But the number one reason why they went out and got Barrett, it's because of special teams. And when you can get the most out of your special teams, that then is going to make everybody else around you better. And you're seeing more and more that with these new kick return rules, that linebackers are kind of really taking on this role of being somebody very prevalent on special teams. And I think that the Raiders are looking for that exact same type of player where maybe Wesley Steiner wasn't bringing the juice that Barrett has. I do think, though, because of the Michigan ties, because of his special teams, and because the competition that he will add to the linebacker room, all those reasons are why the Raiders went out and they got Michael Barrett. Coming up next here on the show, let's talk about the biggest NFL news today that's going to impact the Las Vegas Raiders. And at the time that I'm making this video, a lot of shit's been going down around some of the things that happen around the Tush push. But if you don't think that the Tush push impacts the silver and black, then you need to wake the hell up. So the news that came in, literally again, while we are recording, we got some updates on this. Schefter said a ban of the Tush push play that the Philadelphia Eagles popularized did not receive enough votes at today's league meeting in Minneapolis. The play remains alive. There will be more Tush pushes this upcoming season. So knowing that the Tush push is staying alive, I don't know about y'all. I was wondering, did the Raiders vote to ban it? Did the Raiders vote to keep it? I'll tell you what they voted on here in just a moment. But this is the number one question that I want to know from the nation. Are you for or against the tush push? If you're like, you know what, man, I don't give a shit what they're pushing, hey, then you're for it. If you're like, no, I don't like the play, I think it's a bad football play, type against. I just want to know where you guys personally stand. For me personally, I am somebody that I am for it, and I say that because in the NFL and in life in general, I don't like the let's run away from something because it's too difficult to stop. Let's figure out a way to stop it. I get it's not the most sexy play. But with that being said, now knowing the fact that the Raiders voted to ban the tush push, I kind of wish that we would have been able to do it. And I say that because the Raiders, and I'm going to prove why the tush push impacts the Raiders, but I also think that the Raiders have been planning for the tush push to get banned. Now, this is, again, just coming out while I am filming this, but Ian Rappaport, the final vote for the Packers' resolution to ban the tush push was 22-10. So that means 22 teams voted to ban it, 10 teams voted to keep it. There needs to be a 75% vote. I believe the math on this is like 68% of the votes. So because there wasn't enough votes to ban it, it's going to stay. So out of the 22 teams, the Las Vegas Raiders were one of the teams that voted to ban it, but I think it's because they have been planning to go with their own tush push, which I'll talk about here in a moment. Let's go to another reason why, though, I do think it impacts the Raiders. The Silver and Black have been modeling their offseason a lot around, I think, what the Philadelphia Eagles have done in past years. And I don't think that that's a bad idea. Literally, the number one video that I filmed after the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl goes, if I'm the Raiders, I'm trying to model what the Philadelphia Eagles just did because they embarrassed Kansas City. And I think they're also modeling what they did in Tampa Bay back in 2019 when John Spytek and the Buccaneers took care of business against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But the Raiders really, truly have been saying, all right, let's build in the trenches. Let's make sure we have a lot of depth, which is what Philadelphia has done. They also hired former Eagles front office members Anthony Patch and Brandon Hunt. Both of those guys have been right-hand mans to Howie Roseman. And the Raiders want to play physical FU football. And they literally said, John Spytek literally said just a few days ago, we want to be the team like whoever plays harder, longer, will end up winning the game. That sounds like what the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing for the last few seasons. The next reason why it impacts the Raiders, we play the frickin' Eagles week 15. If you don't think that you're going to see a tush push week 15, then I don't know what to tell you. Get out your calendar right now, December 14th, circle it, and already put right there in that bad boy. But I also think that the Raiders knew what they were getting themselves into, but the fact that the Raiders have at least been thinking about the tush push, it shouldn't surprise anybody. I think everybody in the NFL should have been thinking about, hey, how can we get our own? And the fact that they released their schedule video, which featured literally Geno Smith, I believe it was Dylan Parham, and it might have been Brock Bowers. I couldn't see the photo. I forget who it was. But they were literally doing their own like tush push to reveal who the Eagles-Raiders game was going to be week 15, which, by the way, is also one of the only games where the Raiders have a plus net rest day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, plus net rest day, look that up on YouTube. It is a video that I put out a few days ago around the Silver and Black. Let's go to the final thing here on today's show. And I believe that the Raiders have been prepping to ban or prepping for the NFL to ban the tush push. And I say that because there was a report earlier this morning that Roger Goodell was in favor of moving on from the tush push. And usually, if Goodell wants something, he's usually going to get it. It's just how it goes. But I have sat, and I've mentioned this a few times while I've been live, that I do think that the Raiders, this entire offseason, moves that they have made, have been prepping them for when the tush push is banned, we're going to be able to have a plan. So the fact that I believe that they've been prepping for this, all I think about when I hear tush push is about extending drive. It's about picking up first down. So if you know that you're not going to be able to do that play, wouldn't it make sense to go out and get players maybe in free agency or in the draft that are going to help you extend drives, are going to help you pick up first downs? And I have a list of names that I would call potential tush pushers if the rule would have been banned. And maybe it ends up happening next season. Maybe it happens 2 years from now. Maybe the players that I'm about to talk about are used in a similar tush push type of fashion. But the reason why I think that the Raiders have certain tush pushers, and it's a weird statement to make out loud, is because I don't know if Geno would be used for it. Like, I get it. A lot of time it's the quarterback under center. But if I'm also the Raiders and I'm trying to copycat what the Philadelphia Eagles did, I also don't want to copycat what the Buffalo Bills did, and that's why they lost, I think, to Kansas City. Their failed tush push, because not every quarterback's built to do it. Not every player is built to do it, and Philadelphia is so good at it because they have the perfect players in place, and they are using those players in place to accomplish the tush push. Because if Josh Allen's getting stopped, it's hard for me to know if Geno Smith would also not get stopped. So if I'm the Raiders and I'm going, all right, I don't know if it's going to be Geno Smith, and all right, the tush push is still allowed, the top players that I would consider using for me to extend those plays to do my very own Raiders tush push, first guy you got to consider is Ashton Jeanty, where if you did think that the rule was going to get banned, why not go out and get the best running back in this year's class? Why not go out and get a guy that's probably going to be able to move the chains better than almost anybody, and go out and get a guy that Spy Tech in this regime continuously talks about how difficult it is to tackle him? That sounds like a guy that I'm going to put the ball in his belly on 4th and inches. Let's go to another player here that I think that the Raiders could use in this sense. J.J. Pegues, their 6th-rounder out of Ole Miss. My favorite stat that I mentioned on draft night around Pegues, last season, throughout his Ole Miss career, 21 carries for J.J. Pegues. 18 out of the 21 carries resulted in either a touchdown or a first down. Ole Miss used Pegues as their short yardage back. If I'm the Raiders, line him up at fullback, line him up back there with Jeanty, and then you got to decide, am I going to give the ball to Jeanty or am I going to give the ball to J.J. Pegues? Interesting. Let's go to another player here. Laki Tasi, the International Pathway Program player. And sometimes we roll our eyes here a little bit about International Pathway Program players. I totally get it. Have you seen how big he is, though? He's 6'6", he's 350 pounds. But what did I say earlier? The Raiders have been modeling what the Philadelphia Eagles have done. The Eagles have mastered the tush push, and a big reason is because of Jordan Mailata. Jordan Mailata is also a former rugby player and kind of has explained in the past the importance of being able to accomplish the tush push and how it's very similar to rugby scrums, where it's just low man wins, I got to push forward. And if I'm Laki Tasi, I'm trying to bring what I know from rugby, from what I know from what Jordan Mailata knows from rugby, and I'm also trying to put him into the mix because this is a defensive tackle that the Raiders have also been using from time to time on the offensive line. And again, he is a monstrous human being. And then let's go to the final player. Maybe you put in Tommy Mellott. And I know Mellott is not a big guy, but he's a lot stronger and he's a lot more athletic than people realize. He was also the FCS Heisman winner, the Walter Payton Award winner last season at quarterback, who runs a 4.39. So if you wanted to cause a little bit of confusion, 4th down and 1, you put Tommy Mellott in at quarterback. You have Ashton Jeanty, J.J. Pegues, and maybe you throw Laki Tasi in there. All those guys that have very different skill sets, but are kind of made for the tush push if it would have got banned. So I just wanted to be able to throw out those 4 names because, again, I do really think that the Raiders were prepping for the tush push to get banned because they were one of the teams that voted to ban it. So when you see everything that came into, fruition, I do think tush push impacts the Raiders, and I hope after watching this video, you guys kind of get where I'm coming from. Appreciate all y'all tuning in to today's show. The next time you are going to see me is if either A, we get updates on Wilkins, maybe Colton Miller, if anything else ends up happening, which actually Laki Tasi is literally lining up on offense right now as it stands, which I just got an update on. But bottom line is this. If we get any more updates today from Raiders OTA practice, I'll probably make another video a little bit later on today. And also tomorrow, I'm going to be live 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then also we're going to be live on Friday for Raiders Commanders Madden live stream 4 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of updates, but that's why you subscribe to the Raiders Report. Just make sure you turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss anything.